operator. So I can call just to tell them I'm fine and to show I've overcome the blow, learned to take it well. I only wish my words could just convince myself that it just wasn't real. But that's not the way it feels. No, no, no. Hello there, welcome to Inquiring Minds. My name is Doug, and today I'm pleased to announce my first Great Undead Fountain Pen Sale. I've produced 18 episodes of the Pen Resurrection Sunday series so far, and now I've got a dozen of those restored pens up for sale. If you've never considered purchasing vintage pens before, consider this. The least expensive, brand new, gold-nibbed fountain pens on the US market right now are the Pilot E95S at $144 US and the Pilot Decimo Vanishing Point at $160 US. Every one of the 12 vintage pens I have for sale today have a gold nib, and the most expensive at $135 US is a Parker 51 pen and pencil set. And nowhere is the adage, they don't make them like they used to, more apropos than with vintage fountain pens, because some of these gold nibs look like they were made yesterday, but they were actually made when great pen companies like Parker, Sheaffer, and Waterman really knew how to make a gold nib. In fact, all of the pens for sale today are from just those three brands, from a 1967 Parker 45 gold Insignia to a 1952 Sheaffer Valiant Snorkel Touchdown, all the way back to the 1920s with a 14-karat gold nibbed black hard rubber Waterman. I actually hate to part with some of these pens, but a lot of the fun of these resurrections is taking a pen that's deader than a doornail and bringing it back to howling life again. And the sale of these pens will fund the acquisition of more fountain pen cadavers with which to dissect and reassemble. So let's take a look right now. I'm going to run through each of the pens and show them briefly and do quick writing samples. All of the pens are in working order. They all have gold nibs, many of which are fairly flexible. This means you will destroy them if you write with them like they are a Bic ballpoint. If you buy one and you do that to one of my restored pens, I will find you.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. I will look for you. I will find you.
Good luck.
The pens are for sale on my INKQUIRING MINDS Facebook page, Storefront, for which there is a link in the description below. If you don't use Facebook, well, you're out of luck, aren't you? The hell do you think I am, Walmart? I'll open the sale of all the pens I will show in this video once the video is posted Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time. The way you purchase is to click on the pens you want and send me an email asking to purchase, and I'll send you an email to use to send me US money via PayPal. If you can't or don't want to use PayPal, well, you're out of luck, aren't you? What do you think I am, Wells Fargo? Each of the pens has a description, a price in US funds, and a photo. There's also a link to my YouTube video review of the pen with all of its details. There is a disclaimer on each of the descriptions with instructions on how to carry out the sale without being a Richard. Even if your name is Richard, don't be a Richard. The biggest things to know are: 1, all sales are final. 2, all pens are in working order but are in used condition. 3, the pens will remain up for sale until a PayPal payment, boy, say that 3 times fast, clears, even if you were the first to shout dibs. If you claim dibs on the pen in a message and then fail to pay before someone else emails and sends a successful payment, well, you'll lose the sale. You snooze, you lose. If you pay after someone else has already made a successful payment, you will be refunded. And number 4, I will only ship to the contiguous United States and Canada. and the shipments are tracked and insured, and I'll combine shipping for multiple purchases. Sorry about that for people in the rest of the world, but Canada Post will either not provide tracking to many countries, or the shipping and the tracking for anything other than the US and Canada is several times the pen's value. So what's the point? I'm charging $20 US for shipping. If it turns out to be less than that to ship it to you, I will refund the overpayment via PayPal return. Currently, it costs less to send a pen to Florida from Calgary than it is to send the same pen to Vancouver. Go figure. Now let's look at some pens. These are in no particular order other than how they appear in the Facebook store. First up, a 1931 Parker Duofold Jr. It's in red and black celluloid and has a 14 karat gold fine nib. It is a button filler and has a new sack, pressure bar, and button. The nib was designed to be quite stiff as it's a manifold nib used to press through multiple pages to make carbon copies back in the day. The pen has some gouges in it that look like nervous bite marks. I wonder what people could have been worried about in 1931.
Hey, did you see that? What? Somebody just went past that window downwards. Another one. Be Parkinson next.
Bet you it won't.
How much do you bet it won't? Parkinson next. Come on, Parky.
Don't be silly, Parky.
Come on, Parky.
Don't be stupid, man.
Come
It's
on,
not
lad,
that-
jump!
Yes, sir. I would like to complain about that last scene about people falling out of high buildings. I myself have worked all my life in such a building and have never once...
I think that last guy was Parker, and I'm selling this pen for $122 US. Next, we have a beautiful green celluloid Waterman Skywriter from the 1940s. This pen has a brand new sack and a 14 karat gold, nicely flexible nib. It has some brassing on the Art Deco clip, but the celluloid and even the ebonite feed are gleaming. A beautiful writer, and this pen is $92 US. Next up, we have a pen that is hard for me to part with. I purchased it in pretty rough shape. There were scratches all over the barrel, dents in the gold-filled cap, and a particularly ugly scar on the blind cap. I got the body of the pen shining like new, and the scar is almost invisible. There it is, right there. I look at this as a beauty mark from its previous history. My daughter successfully removed the dents in the gold cap, and it gleams like new now. It has a fine 14 karat gold nib that is nicely juicy, and this pen is a beautiful writer. And I'm selling this pen for $120 US. Next, we have another gorgeous celluloid Waterman. This is a 1940s Waterman Starlet, and the celluloid is my favorite of the two. A beautiful honey or butterscotch amber. The gold-plated hardware is flawless, and the 14 karat gold extra fine nib is a lovely, flexible dream. You can get very fine lines at 0.3 millimeters to very thick lines at 0.9 millimeters when it's flexed. It is a classic vintage gold nib experience. Again, I will advise you, if you buy this pen, I will come after you if you abuse it. Write with a gentle touch with these vintage flexible gold nibs, folks. And this pen is $92 US. And we have another vintage Parker. This time it's a 1946 Parker Vacumatic in silver pearl. I really don't want to part with this pen. Perhaps that's why it's the most expensive of the group, because in my heart, I don't want to let it go. This is my first Parker Vacumatic, and I've fallen so in love with the model that I now have 3 more. These 3 came in this week, and I'm going to resurrect them. This beautiful gold and pearl celluloid Vacumatic from 1945 is one that I'm currently working on. The clip is off it because I'm polishing it up. But that cap band came up just gloriously, and you can see that the nib needs some work, but it's going to come up nicely as well. The silver pearl is almost identical to the one for sale, but I can't determine the date because it's all worn off. And this black and gold Vacumatic from 1940 that has a deeply engraved name in the barrel, and it looks like someone tried to whittle it off with a penknife. And this one is a speed filler, and it has double jewels. Very nice. So look forward to those in future Pen Resurrection Sundays. But this 1946 silver pearl Vacumatic is the first one I've owned and restored. It writes beautifully and smooth with a 14 karat gold fine nib that has a little bit of flex to it. It has a newly serviced Vacumatic pump and is polished and shining. It's a joy to write with. I'm selling it for $135 US. Please don't buy it. Next up, this 1952 Sheaffer Valiant Snorkel Touchdown in black and gold with a magnificent Triumph style 14 karat gold fine nib. This was a lot of fun to restore. I saw it at a local antique shop and just had to have it. The touchdown filler works beautifully with a new sack and seals. The snorkel works very, very nicely, and the whole pen has been restored. check out the restoration video. It's a long, slim, beautiful pen with gold-plated hardware. The large gold-plated cap has R. Lipkus engraved into it, and it's there permanently. So if personalization bothers you, don't buy this pen. I think it adds to the pen's story, its historical mystique, if you will. The nib is not flexible at all, but it writes a smooth, fine line. I'm selling this pen for $90 US, a steal. Next we have a Parker 45 Flighter. This has also been personalized with a company name engraving on the barrel. There it is. And you can just see it says H&S Limited. This 45 was made in England. The Parker 45 is one of the most elegant designs Parker ever made, in my opinion. They made so many 45s, they are fairly easy to obtain. But the Flighter models are not that common. The pen design is both elegant and simple in operation. The nib and feed are easy to replace, and it is a cartridge converter, or will take Parker long cartridges. And I'm including a converter with this pen. It has a 14 karat gold fine nib, and I'm selling it for $80 US. Here's the first Parker 51 Vacumatic I have restored. I found this pen and pencil set at a local antique shop. The caps are lustraloy, but the clips are gold filled. The fountain pen has that blue diamond on the clip, signifying the lifetime warranty from Parker. That warranty is, of course, no longer in effect, but the fountain pen writes wonderfully and has a newly rebuilt Vacumatic pump. I've been writing with this pen a lot since I restored it. The 14 karat gold fine nib is fast and easy, and the pen is ultra comfortable. The clutch pencil works perfectly and takes 0.7mm leads. There's even some eraser left. I'm selling this beautiful pen and pencil set for $135 US. Now we're really going back in time. This is a Waterman black hard rubber lever filler from the 1920s. I'm unsure about the model, but it was made in Canada in the 1920s. When I got this pen, it was horrible looking. The ebonite was discolored to the point that the pen actually looked green. It is missing the clip, and the end finial is missing a chunk of ebonite. There was an aftermarket clip added to the pen that I will sell with the pen, but I like this pen without it. There is still some discoloration on the section and on the cap, but the 14 karat gold flexible fine nib gleams like it's brand new, and it writes nicely. It has a new sack, and the ebonite feed is shiny too. I'm selling this pen for $50 US. And here is the most beautiful vintage Parker I've owned. It's a 1967 Parker 45 Insignia. The cap and barrel are gold filled and beautifully engraved with pinstripes that make the whole pen glisten. There's a portion on the barrel right there that isn't engraved, and it's a place where you can engrave your name or your initials, hence the name Insignia. When you watch the restoration video of this pen, you'll see that this end finial snapped off. I've reattached it, but this should be considered fragile. It has a 14 karat gold fine nib, and I'm selling the pen for $120 US. And here we have a 1937 Sheaffer Valiant in green striated celluloid. This is the small, slim-sized Valiant, and this is a small pen. Posted it is plenty long enough, but it's very slim. The 14 karat gold fine nib is very flexible and writes like a vintage dream. It has been fitted with a new sack, and the gorgeous striped celluloid and the gold-plated hardware gleam like new. I was very happy with this restoration, and I'm selling this pen for $120 US. And the final vintage pen of the sale is this Sheaffer lever filler in black hard rubber ebonite and gold-plated hardware with a 14 karat gold fine flexible nib. This pen was a miracle transformation. It looked like total crap when I got it at a local antique shop. It looked like it needed to be thrown out, actually, but I was amazed at how well it turned out. The ebonite just gleams, and that nib is spectacular, wet, and flexible.
That's what she said.
Excuse me?
That's what she said.
It has a new sack, and the only indication it's a Sheaffer is because it says made by Sheaffers on the clip and made by Sheaffer Canada 14K on the nib. But I still haven't been able to identify this model with these odd conical finials. But it is from the 1920s, and even into the early 30s is my guess. I'm selling it for $60 US. And there is the lineup. Don't forget to watch the videos associated with each pen for the details. I will probably sell future restored pens from upcoming Pen Resurrection Sunday videos by adding them to the Inquiring Minds shop as I restore them. And there you have it. Let the sale begin. Thanks for watching, and that's all she wrote.
I made this.